We're live at the Newman Chabad House, 29, I'm not going to say the address online, for Parsha Vae'era, Coffee and Kabbalah. It's an amazing Parsha. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We have this new setup here. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Mina, welcome.
Thank you.
This is a messy turnaround. Today's tour is sponsored by a dear friend from Maryland, Adler and her family. This was her mother, who lived, who was a survivor, a full survivor of her family from Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen. She passed away today. Maryland got up from Shiva. She passed away last Wednesday on Yuchat Teves. Let's just say her name is Shifrat Via Bas Esther Henshen Avram Yaakov. She lost her whole family at 17 years old. She made Aliyah 38 years ago, and she was dancing until a few weeks before she passed away. I saw a video of her dancing. She's just an amazing person, such a joyful woman. And she, Baruch Hashem, has, one survivor, has a huge family, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. So her neshama should have an aliyah. She said that when she goes up to Shemayim, she's going to sue Mashiach for not coming. So we should expect, they said that we should expect Mashiach very, very soon after her passing.
I want to tell you something.
Yes,
I wanted to do this like a year ago, the campaign, get on Facebook, and everyone say, who wants Mashiach during Pesach, we should all say, when you open the door to Eliyahu, we should all say, Mashiach now. Throughout the world.
I'm with you, Minna.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
I'm with you, Minna.
But if I did that, I would look weird. You should do that. Or and the other
Minna, you want to look weird. Okay. Parsha Vae'era. We began Chumash Shemot. We're talking about the Jewish peoples at the national level. We're on the second Parsha. Last week, we had the story of Moshe's life, Moshe's birth, how they got into the situation that they were in slavery, and now they've been enslaved for 210 years. It's terrible, and Hashem said enough is enough, and it's time to redeem them. He sends Moshe. He finds Moshe shepherding in Midian, right, with his happy family, and he's like, party is over, you have to go back to Mitzrayim. And now Moshe confronts Paro at the end of last week's Parsha, and Paro says, get out of here, right? Like, who do you think you are? Okay, let me just close those. One moment, close those notifications. Sorry about that. Why does tech have to be so difficult? Okay, let's do this. We'll figure this out. Just want to close notifications so it's not so disruptive. Okay, there we go. Done. Okay, we're back. Thanks for being so patient. Thank you for everyone who's joining and watching. Please comment if you have any questions or if you enjoyed the shiur. Okay, so now we're back where we ended off in Parsha Shemot, right? We discussed the name, how our names give us koach. This week is Vae'era. What does Vae'era mean? And right, and she reveals, right, Vae'era Hashem. So what is this starting with? Let's read the first pasuk, right? Where are we picking up? But Yidaber Hashem al Moshe. Hashem's still talking to Moshe. Vayomer Elav Ani Hashem. I'm Hashem. Right. That's what this part is called. Now the next pasuk says Vae'era el Abraham el Yitzchak el Yaakov, and I appeared to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, your great grandparents, the Kel Shafet, with the name Kel Shafet. It was Shemi Hashem Unadati Lehem. With my name Hashem Yud Hey Vav Hey. I didn't appear to them. The Gam Hakimoti is Bris Itam, and I appeared. I also fulfilled my promise to them to give them Canaan. To give them the land of Canaan, and I also heard the cries of Bnei Israel, the Jewish, their descendants in Mitzrayim, who are their moans, who are enslaving them. And I remembered my promise to the Avram that I would take them out of their enslavement. Therefore, tell Bnei Israel, I am Hashem. And I'll take you under the oppression of Mitzrayim. And I'll redeem them. And I'll take you to be my nation. And then you'll know that I'm Hashem. Right? We have the four lashonos of Gula. And then the fifth lashon, and then I'll bring you to the land. I promise you the land that I gave Amr and Yaakov, that for you will be for you of an inheritance, and you'll live happily ever after for a little bit, right? Where is this coming into context? Where Hashem and Moshe in their long conversation. So this is already after Moshe met Aaron. Aaron rejoiced to see him and welcomed him as a leader, even though he was the older brother. And they already went to Paro, and Paro said, "Get out of here!" Right? He said, "Who is Hashem?" Right? They said Hashem said to send the people, and he just laughed in their face. Said, "Who is God? That I should listen to him? I'm not going to send them. Not only that, He said, I just want to go for 3 days in the midbar to bring Karbanos to Hashem. And he says, not only am I not going to let them go, I'm going to make it even worse. He says, why are you disturbing them? They're doing this for years. Just go back. He says, go back to your room, right? Go back to your hole, crawl back into your hole, right? That's what he says. Go deal with your own problems. Just don't get involved in their problems. Slavery is part of this culture for years. Like you're trying to change the fabric of the existence of the world. What is your problem, right? And he tells the people, make it worse for them, right? So now everyone's upset at Moshe. They're saying, what did you do? You made things worse for us. Go back. Get away. So Moshe is crying out to Hashem. He's saying, you sent me here to save them, and now things got worse for them. Lama hare'ot la'am hazeh, right? Tell me, many of us are familiar with these words, right? These are very famous words. Lama, this is where we ended off in last week's Parsha, and this is where we're picking up in Vae'era. So Moshe ends up to talk to Hashem, but Yashav Moshe Hashem, he returns to Hashem, and he said, why, Lama hare'ot la'am hazeh, the famous words, why are you doing bad? Why are you mistreated your people? Lama zel shaftani, why did you send me here, right? He says, since I came to Paro, not only did you not save them, but you made it worse, right? So Hashem, so it's interesting that then we have the first pasuk of this new parak, and then it continues, the Parsha ends, and we continue, right? So Hashem says, you'll see what I'll do to Paro with the chozek yad, I'll take him out, right? First I'll harden his heart, which I already told, right? And then I'll take them out. I already told him earlier that first it's going to become worse before it becomes better, right? Hashem already told him this. I'm going to harden his heart so I can make many miracles and many plagues. Okay. So that's where we're here. So let's summarize this week's Parsha. This is where the Gematria comes in. We have the 10 makos are split into 2 parshios, the Vae'era and Bo. And a simple, cute trick to remember is that you remember the first and last letter of the names of the parsha are the Gematria of how many plagues are in that week's Parsha. The first and last letters of the Vae'era are Vav and Aleph, which is a 6 and a 1, right? 6 and 1 is 7. There's 7 plagues in this week's Parsha. Bo is Beis Aleph. It equals 3. So there's 3 plagues in next week's Parsha, which is interesting because we are looking at the makos as not just 10 plagues that happened to our ancestors, but as 10 tools to get out of our own personal humiliation that we have. Just like the 10 plagues or the 10 steps to redeem them from Egypt, the 10 plagues are 10 ways to redeem ourselves from any personal difficulty, any limitation, any trying situation in our lives. These 10 plagues are the 10 steps. And they actually mirror in so many ways the 10 soul powers. We're told in Tanya, we're starting a new Tanya class in the evenings because so many people are not available in the morning. It is going to blow your mind. It's going to change your life and empower you in so many ways. We're going to learn all the concepts we talk about in these Shurim and Chassidus in such a brief way. We're going to really learn them in a really deep way and how they apply to our lives. One of the basic concepts in Tanya that we learned from Chassidus is that our soul is made up, it's given 10 soul powers, right? To mirror the 10 spheres of Hashem. So Ches, Chachma, Bina, Das, where we talk about them all the time. We're going to really learn them properly in this course, in this Chassidus course. So vote on the other group, which evening works better for you. So far, Tuesday is in the lead, Tuesday night. So Sunday night or Tuesday night or Wednesday. It will be live also, live on Zoom and recorded both. But you'll get a lot more if you're here because you can engage and learn and be involved. So, okay. So we have 10 soul powers, 10 spheres of Hashem, and they're actually divided as well into 3 and 7, which is so interesting. They're divided into the 3 intellectual soul powers, Chachma, Bina, Das, Chabad, which is why we're called Chabad, because we are all about using the intellect first and not just skipping to the emotions. That's what distinguishes Chabad Chassidus from other Chassidus. Other Chassidus focuses on the emotions because that's the main thing, Avos and Yiras Hashem. So the 7 emotive powers are Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, Malchus. Those are like the 7 plagues in one Parsha. It's amazing that they're divided in that way, and they're really divided in Kabbalah and Chassidus into 2 categories. And Chabad Chassidus says, let's not go to emotions. We can't really have lasting Av and Yira unless you first use your Chabad as well. You have to intellectually understand why and who and everything and meditate. And only when you can really truly internalize it intellectually, then your emotions are lasting and real. And that's why the Chabad Chassidus differs from other Chassidus in that it's much more in understanding and meditating and then intellectually instead of going straight to Simcha, Muna, and all those emotions. It's the goal, but we get to it in a different way. So we have the same goal, but we get to it in a different way. Yesterday was actually the passing of the Alter Rebbe, who was the founder of Chabad Chassidus. Of this branch of Chabad Chassidus, one of the many students of the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid, who were all leaders of different Chassidus, but he founded his unique path of Chabad Chassidus, which was making it understandable, bringing it down in Mashalim and explanations that we can understand it on our own, to make our emotions more internal and more real. That was his approach. Okay, so we have 7 makos in this week's parsha. So now we know what's going to happen, right? In 7 plagues, right? So now we see Hashem is answering Moshe, why are you mistreating your people? We have this answer, this discussion with Hashem. And then we have Moshe repeatedly, first we have the sign, right? We have Moshe. We're going to talk about that a lot today. The first sign before the 10 plagues. What was the first sign Hashem said to show power? He says, "Who are you?" A stick. Anyone have a stick ready? See that little straw there? Oh, they're under there. There's a stick. Under there, it's a big stick. Yes, my stick. I wish I had a snake. I couldn't find my snake. So we're going to have a stick. This is Moshe's stick. Okay, so Moshe's stick is going to be a very big focus today that we're going to talk about. Before even the 10 plagues, we can leave. Hashem says, first, turn a stick into a snake. And we're going to talk about the significance of that, right? And that whole story. Then we have Moshe and Aaron repeatedly coming to Paro to demand in the name of Hashem to let my people go. And Hashem says, no. And Paro says, no. And Aaron's staff turns into a snake. It swallows. First, it turns into a snake. Then Paro tells him that my little sorcerers can all do the same trick, right? They can turn a snake into a stick as well. But then Aaron's stick swallows all. Aaron's stick, not his snake, swallows all of their sticks, which is really stick or staff. You know, we have a whole share on the difference between a matzah and a shevet. Remember, on the difference between a rod and a stick. Yeah. So stick is very significant. We do this. So it's a matzah, which is a rod. No, shevet is a rod. This is a stick. And then we have all the plagues, right? We have the plague of dam, turning the water into blood. We have the plague of frogs. Very cool, all right? It's very exciting for the kids. It's like very visual. Frogs, swarming land, exciting because we're not there. Lice, we all know what that is. Hordes of wild.
Too, that's prevalent in this.
Yeah, we had lice infestation in my baby's hair. It was very real, very Parsha. Hordes of then we have some Arov, wild animals invading the streets. Dever, plague that killed all the domestic animals. Painful boils on the bodies of the Egyptians. And then the seventh plague, we have Bara, fire and ice, Barat, right? Descending from the skies as devastating hail. And still, Pharaoh's heart hardened, he didn't let them go. That's this week's Parsha. This is part one. Like in the Netflix series called Exodus, I was thinking, what would I name this series? If I would go to make a script, I'm like, what would I name it? Something I'm like, oh, Exodus is actually a really good name. Like, I don't have to be creative. You don't need to be creative. It's all there. So in this Netflix series, season 1 of Exodus, this is part 1 of the season finale, right? Part 1 of the season finale. It is so packed, right? There's a lot happening. It's like the climax, the season finale. What? No, I made it up. I was saying that I like to look at the Parsha in a last week I was saying I like to look at the Parsha in a with the eyes of like looking at it as like a dramatic series of like waiting, as like all this has been boiling up. We've had all of this like this season, right, of Exodus, and now it's like the climax of like what's going to happen at the end, the showdown at the end of the series, right? Like it's really mimicking like a lot, like most series mimic the story, the original story of like our existence, right? So part 1, then we have a cliffhanger until part 2 is released next week, and we see the final ending of Exodus, right? And then we'll start the next series afterwards, right? The next season is like after we redeemed the journey in the desert in the Midbar, which is also called Exodus, right? It's just Exodus season 2. Okay. I'm gonna sell this one day. You're gonna be like, I remember when the creators of Exodus were sitting and talking about it, right? In the cheer. The film is. Yeah, but it's not new. It's not redone, and that's a $1 billion budget, right? Better special effects. Okay, you heard it here first. Okay, so now we're going to focus on first. Let's talk about the name of the Parsha first, because we always do that. Vae'era, right? Vae'era it's really unclear to the Mefarshim first in Shah how Hashem is answering Moshe. Moshe is saying, why are you doing bad? Why are you making them suffer? Why are you making this worse? Why are you even sending me here and making worse? And Hashem says, I appeared to Avram and Yaakov with my name Hashakai, with Kel Shakai, but with my name Hashem I didn't appear to them. And then I fulfilled my bris until now, and I'll fulfill it. So Shah, it's like, okay, he's reassuring him that just like I fulfilled my promise to them until now, I'll continue. Don't worry. So he's saying, I did that, but I told you already it's going to get worse before it gets better. Don't worry. Have faith in me. You'll get better, right? That's Shah. But in a deeper sense, there's a lot to unpack in the exact words Hashem said to Moshe. Why? Just skip out the part where he says, I appeared to Hashem, Avram, and Yaakov, right? And I told them this. Why say, I appeared to them with the name Kel Shakai, but my name Hashem, I didn't tell them. That is actually, in a deeper message, what Hashem is telling Moshe, why they had to suffer. Because Moshe doesn't need to be reassured. He wants to know, why are you even making them suffer? Why are they suffering so much? So Hashem is saying this is the answer to why they have to suffer, why they have to go down to Mitzrayim. The secret, only in the secrets of the Torah, in the depths, can we really uncover the true one of the layers of the reasons to our suffering. Right? We'll never know everything, but one of the layers in Chassidus is really told to us in a very, very deep and powerful way. And he says, why minimize? Right? Also, if he's trying to say, so the Mefarshim actually say that he's saying that the Kel Shakai, Hashem has many names. He appears to us in many names. and his essential name, his most essence, his essential name of revelation, right? We know that Elohim is Midas Adin and concealment. Tel Shafe is another name of concealment. Which name is the name of revelation, of creation? Yud He Vav Hey. Hashem created the world through that name, right? Through the name Yud He Vav Hey. That's my name of revelation. So Hashem is saying, I didn't appear to the Avos, right, with that name of revelation. And only to you am I appearing with my name, Yud He Vav Hey. Why is he minimizing his connection and revelation to the Avos? We learn in here a very deep secret. He says, I want to connect. My whole purpose of creating the world is to connect, to have a relationship with you, to be one, right? To connect to you through the Torah and through the mitzvot. I couldn't have that connection. The Avos were not able to connect with me on that. I wasn't able to reveal myself to them in that essential way of Yud He Vav Hey, of my essence, of who I am at my core. I couldn't have that core connection to get to that oneness, to get to that oneness with my essence. I was only able to reveal to them my external. They couldn't grasp that. They didn't have the space to connect in that way. Only through this Yerida of going to Mitzrayim and doing all of the avoda and all of the bir netzatzos and taking up all of those sparks, and through that distance and through that separation and through that yearning and through that pulling back, can I get, and my imagery of this, it's a very deep mimer of Alter Rebbe and Torah Or, that he explains this very deep idea in Chassidus. One of the basic ideas of Chassidus, another fundamental, not basic at all, but another fundamental idea in Kabbalah Chassidus is the idea of ratzoi and shuv, that everything in life is based on a rhythm, like a heart rhythm of returning, of ratzoi, of desire, which is when you're distant, and then shuv and returning. And we're going to have this theme this year a lot. We're going to see it, and we're going to focus on it with our own sons, of this idea of ratzoi, and we're constant fluctuation between yearning and distance, and then shuv. In our relationship, everything in life, if the heart rhythm is always, in one way, then it's not alive. Life is based on this rhythm of ups and downs, but not really ups and downs, of distance and then returning, of distance and then returning. Ratzoi is a yearning for Hashem because we're far and we have this distance. And shuv is that reunification. In the context of Torah and mitzvot, ratzoi is yearning to leave our body and to be one with Hashem, for our soul's yearning to constantly leave, like the fire, the flame that yearns to leave this world, to leave the wick and to be one with its source. And the shuv is saying, and in the context of Torah, the ratzoi is the yearning to have dveikus, to leave the world, to be separate and just to be in dveikus with Hashem all day, to be a shepherd, to be in the mountains, to distance ourselves from the world, just to be one with Hashem and not to have to deal with the physicality, materialistic of the world. It's the yearning of our own sons to go into the Kodesh Kodashim and just to be one and united with Hashem's essence. And shuv is saying that, but ultimately I have to make my real connection to Hashem, and what Hashem wants for me is to remain in this world and to be present in this world, in the materialistic and in the physical mitzvot. It's immanence and transcendence, I guess. So ratzoi in the context of Torah mitzvot is wanting to transcend the world, and shuv is saying, but I have to be immanent. Hashem wants me, and my real connection is in this world through mitzvot. So shuv is doing practical mitzvot, even though I don't feel as close to Hashem. That's where Hashem wants me to be, so I have to stay there. In the context of a relationship, we need, where we all know that we need that distance, that pull, and in order for the rhythm, for the relationship to be alive and not just to be a flat line relationship, there has to be the rhythm of togetherness and space. If two people are together all the time, it'll be a very like a relationship, right? Like two people sitting on the porch, just like what time is it? What's the weather? There's no, the passion comes from the distance and the closeness. Sometimes it comes from the day-to-day of a couple, lovers not seeing one another and then reuniting. But the distance and the reuniting is constantly that pull and push that makes relationships, that keeps the relationship alive and keeps the rhythm and keeps it alive. And that's where nida comes into place. That's where the beauty, even though that's not the ultimate reason of nida, we see that Hashem said we need that distance. And sometimes we see couples that create drama, create fighting to have that tension in order for the reunification, in order for that closeness to be there. And nida gives us in a way that we have this natural distance, so that the reunification, it says, to be like a bride and a groom all over again, reuniting. So in order for there to be closeness, there has to be preceded by distance first. And in order for there to be, the distance has to be also it's really, really deep, this mimer. The shuv also needs a ratzoi before it, right? You need the distance in order for the shuv, in order to have that closeness, the shuv, but you also need that the ratzoi has to be preceded by a shuv as well, in order to have that yearning, right? That yearning as well. In the ratzoi itself, in that yearning, there also has to be that returning as well, that coming back. So they work it's a rhythm of life, and we have to find that balance and tread that rhythm, right? And everything is about like measuring. In every relationship, it's about measuring. To have too much distance in a relationship, too much, because you can call it shuv sometimes, because shuv is being present, right? But ratzoi is a desire, so it's hard to say where it comes in, right? But when there's too much distance, when there's too much, let's say, Ratzway and there's no closeness, then we're missing that, right? We're gonna have a problem. And if there's always on top of each other, then you don't have that passion anymore. Then you lose that Ratzway because it becomes less. So we're constantly treading that balance of Ratzway and Shuv in all areas of our life. In our heart, we're always looking for the balance of, sometimes there's highers and there's lowers, but to get to a place where we're going back and forth. If someone is always immanent in this world and so steep in the material world, and they're like, I'm just here, I'm going to be present, I'm not going to try to transcend, then their materialistic life they're just flatlining, right? But if they can constantly go back from this touring, I want to be higher, I want to aspire, but then I also have to, right? And we always feel that. We feel that pull. I want to do more. I want to make more meals for people. I want to help people, but I also have to take care of me first, right? I also have to make sure I'm healthy. That fluctuation is the fabric of our existence. And it's so healthy to have that tug. And we always have to just think like, where am I going too much and too little? But if we stop having that, if we're just like, I'm just going to be complacent, just self-care, just me and my home and no one else, right? Then we're going to live a very low, right? We're going to have a very low vibration. So we want to increase the vibration by having that pull, the yearning for more, and then knowing to come back down when we need to come back down, and then going back up again and coming back down. And that's, as women, we see that more than anyone, right? We follow these cycles. The men, I said like the sun, which is stable, which oh, there's a baby. Oh. No, he's just breathing, like his heart's just rhythm. There's a cycle, the sun cycle is more of a stable, like a lower line, and the women, we know we go from Ratzway, right? So we have our full moon when we're full and we're outward, and then we have times we have to come back down. We have Shuv, we have to be settled and recharge our batteries and go up and down. So we see this concept so many areas of our life. And here, Hashem is saying that, and the imagery I have for it, so is like this. That in order for us to get to the essence, the goal is to be one with Hashem in the deepest way, to have that connection of atmos to atmos, not just a distant connection with somebody, right? We're like, yeah, we can live in the same house, but we want to have that true connection, that passionate connection. That's what Hashem wants with us. And he says, I couldn't get there with the Avos because there wasn't enough distance. There was no distance. The Avos were Merkavos of Hashem. And without that distance, without that going down into the world, really the Shuv and being separate, but also that Ratzai and Shuv, right? Without being that distant and having that pull, we couldn't get there. And it's like for an arrow to get further, you have to pull back a lot. With Avos, they were one with Hashem already. We're such kalim to Hashem. There was no distance at all. There was none of that pull back in order to shoot the arrow straight into the heart. And that's the imagery I always have of like, and really the arrow is this Lag BaOmer where Kabbalah and with the deeper secrets of Torah were revealed for the first time by the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, were revealed in a massive way, in a large scale way. So it's like the imagery of Hasidus, of the secrets of the Torah, of this mystical layer of the Torah, the hidden dimensions of the Torah, is like you have to pull back to go deeper. That's really the bow and arrow. We see that in so many ways. We have to, and also in order for us to penetrate someone else, we have to pull deep into ourselves in order to impact another person deeper. So we have to pull deep. That's the message of arrow, to go deep into ourselves, and then it will go further out, and then we can reach that far connection that we want to bridge, right? That is what the deeper idea of Yerida L'Torah Aliyah, right? Because there is no Aliyah, there is no Ratzway if there's no Shuv first, and there's no, right? Yerida L'Torah Aliyah, but you can't go up if you didn't go down, right? And my son was trying to catch a balloon, a helium balloon that was on the ceiling, and he realized that he has to, in order to get it, he has to run really far, not just bend down, go down in order to jump up high. You can't jump up high. The lower the spring pulls, the higher it jumps, and the further you run away, the higher you'll get to reach the balloon. And this just happened in this room this week, and it was just like, wow, that's metaphorical. He understands that that's how life works. There has to be a Riza in order for the Aliyah to come. And literally, in order to get to the mountain of Har Sinai, to get to ascend to that level where Hashem revealed, Anochi Hashem, this is me, my essence, finally, I had to go back down into Mitzrayim, literally down. Mitzrayim was down at the lowest part, right? It was low. You're going down to Mitzrayim to go down in order to ascend afterwards. So he's saying, why am I causing them pain? It's not my badness. You see it as bad, right? But ultimately, this is the Yerida, this is the pulling backward in order to leap and to have that ultimate oneness, to have that revelation, to have that connection, in order to have all of the greatness that comes. The Rechush Gadol that you're going to come out with is not just going to be material wealth. It's way more. The material wealth is symbolic of the great wealth that you took out of Mitzrayim with you. It's the great wealth and the connection and the growth and the leaping that you're going to come. And literally, Mitzrayim, Pesach is leaping. Is to Pasach, I've jumped over. It's that leaping that comes after the Yerida, right? Literally, the word Pesach means we jumped out, we leaped to really high heights. In order to leap to those places, we have to go down low. So yes, it feels like suffering now, but soon you'll see that it wasn't suffering. It was you taking a few steps back and pulling back a lot of steps back in order to leap as far as you can get to Atmos, to get to your core, to uncover all the layers in your core, and to get to that oneness, and to get to the essence of who you are, to come out with the Rechosh Gadol, to come out with that wealth that you couldn't have come out with if you weren't down in Mitzrayim, right? You couldn't have had that. Yes?
It's really, Shirley's life was like that.
Shirley, Marilyn's mom.
Marilyn's mother.
Mm. That was her whole life.
Yeah. She came out of that and she raised her children.
It's crazy. That's literally what she did. She came from Auschwitz
and grandchildren.
Her and her husband who husband still alive, are both the sole survivors of their family, and they came from there, and they have these. They leave.
My in-laws too.
Yeah. Where were they from?
Birkenau, I think, and I forgot where else.
Wow. Also, the woman, my great grandmother named after Rivka, was also a survivor of Auschwitz and Mengele, from the similar cities as Marilyn's parents in Hungary, Pennsylvania, and Romania.
How old was she?
Marilyn's mother passed away now at 95, and she was 17 when she survived.
She's one of the last ones.
They're still survivors. They're still survivors, but we have to video them. We have to have video recordings of all of their stories so we can see them visually.
There are in the museum.
Born in a DP camp.
I was born in a DP camp.
To turn that pain into dancing, and to dance until she passed away to music, to Shlomo Carlebach music playing in her room as she passed away. Wow. She was singing until she passed away.
No.
To go from that and to leap from there, right? To be so insistent on creating a family in Eretz Yisrael and raising generations. She was like a testimony to this idea of a Yerida for the sake of an Aliyah. But we shouldn't have to go through these painful things to have these believing. We also have been discussing this theme in ourselves as well, that often we need to go down into the depths of the Mitzrayim in our souls. We have to go down sometimes to the depths of our souls, to the depths of pain, to come out with kochos, to come out and leap out with things that we could never have uncovered in our lives, in our souls, in our psyche, right, in our powers, soul powers and strengths, and so many things that we can't uncover unless we go through certain experiences. We need to go down to dig the waters from the well, right? The well waters have something to go downward to dig, to bring out the deepest waters, right? So this theme is really prevalent. So the Vae'era Hashem Moshe is not, Vae'era Hashem, he says, I pierced Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov, not to minimize my connection to them, but to say that I couldn't have pierced them with Shmi Hashem, with my essence, right, until we went down into Mitzrayim, right? And he says, now I told them that I'm going to go down, they're going to go down into Mitzrayim, and then through that, you'll come out with Rechosh Gadol, and only then can I bring you to the highest, to the mountain, to the Kumi leap, right? Only after that descent. And he's telling him the secret of what's going on, and tells the Jewish people that this was for a reason. There was an intention, and you were here going backwards and going downwards into these depths, so you could pull out the greatest levels and jump up and leap up from those depths. And that was the reassurance that he gave him in those words, the Vae'era, right? Okay. Now we're going to go to the point of the 10 plagues, right? Hashem could have just said, Moshe, take the Jewish people. Paro will jump straight to Machas Bechoros, right? Jump straight to Machas Hoshech. They're frozen. Take their money and go, right? The 10 plagues were intentional. The way they left Mitzrayim is a message for us. So to live with in these parshas, to live with and how we leave our Mitzrayim. It was intentional in those times, and it's intentional for us to learn from. The 10 plagues, every single detail of how they left Mitzrayim is an eternal message of how we can leave our Mitzrayim, our Mitzrayim, meaning a narrow place, right? Began with, so what is the general intention? And he says it, Hashem says, I'm going to make these 10, Hashem tells them, I'm going to bring these 10 powers, Leman, right? He tells them why. So let's open our source sheet. I believe it's, hopefully it's this time, it's in the source sheet. I don't have source sheet. Okay, he says, I'm going to do it, Leman, so that's the Yidasem Kiniyasham Lekechem, right? So that you see Bishpatim Gedolim, right? Where's the word? Leman Tedu. Where are those words? Can I use someone's source sheet for a moment? Okay. Okay, I'm going to borrow these. Oh, you know, I do have them. Yeah, is there?
Do they have the answers to this?
No, it's answers. It's just for you to answer for yourself in case you want to. It's just like thoughtful, provoking questions. It's not Okay, we'll find it. I don't even know if I
That's interesting.
Okay, we'll get to it. So Hashem says that the reason for all of the plagues is so that everyone will know that the source of everything comes from Hashem. Now, Hashem wants you to break the klipa of Mitzrayim. So let's learn about a new specific idea called klipa. How many of you have heard of klipa? What does the word klipa mean? Peel. How many of you have heard about klipa in a Hasidic context, in Kabbalah? Amazing. Okay, we're going to learn about that. That's one of the also fundamental Hasidic ideas, Kabbalistic ideas. It's a husk. We learned that klipa is anything that covers the source of existence, that covers the fact that everything comes from Hashem. So klipa is a husk and a shell, a peel that conceals. It's a concealment. All klipa is where all impurity comes from klipa. There's different types of klipa. There's neutral klipa and there's evil klipa. So our animal souls come from neutral klipa, right? Because our animal soul covers our godliness, right? And then evil klipa, our animal soul, our soul, our animalistic soul, our human soul, our selfish soul comes from klipa also, right? Klipa means it's a husk, a shell. It comes from a place of concealment, a covering. It's a layer of covering, like the curtains that cover the filter that lights the sun and cover it. And klipa tzmeos, impure klipos, are where paro comes from, right? Paro and evil comes from those places. The klipa, and there's different types of klipa. There was such a thick klipa in Mitzrayim. There were so many layers. Like klipos are important. Layers and veils are there because if we didn't have any filters over the sun, we would all burn and die. Right? We know that our world is created with a lot of filters in order that we can receive the light of the sun without being consumed. Klipos and peels and layers are important to hide Hashem's godliness because we wouldn't exist if we would just be souls walking around, right? If we could see, if there was no layers and I could just see you as you were bare, all we would be was God. There would just be God. The only way a world can exist is if God hides himself and conceals himself so that an other can exist, right? That's the only way for any possibility for worlds to exist. If we remove those layers, then there's only godliness, right? Every world that Hashem created had more layers until there came a world that was the ability to have even physical objects. There are so many, that's why our world is called Olam, which is Helem, covering and hiddenness. Hashem has to hide himself for our world to exist. If he reveals himself, we're all become God again, because that's who we truly are. We're just words of God. Mama. Oh, Mama. He's so cute.
Oh, another baby. Someone else's baby.
Oh, there's two babies here?
Oh, I don't
just
know.
Four.
Mama?
Mama.
Oh, this is the baby. That's Mama.
Is he one? He's one in a bit.
Oh my God, my 17-month-old doesn't say Mama.
Okay. My baby took his time saying Mama. A long time saying Mama. Mama was his last word.
Oh.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Now he says it. See, Mama. Okay. So the objective of all of the Egyptian plagues was to reveal the truth that the core of the Egyptian existence was divine light. Why? Because Paro's entire klipa was that Paro himself said, I am God. He says that he was the great serpent. He says, he said that he was the great serpent or crocodile that created the Nile. Paro said that he was the God that created the Nile, which was the source of all life for Egypt and the whole area. There would be no food and no existence and no sustenance. So Paro considered himself, and they worshipped him as the God. And he said, I am God. I created this Nile. I'm the creator of the Nile. He emerged from the Nile. He said he didn't use a bathroom, right? He said that he was God-like. He was the creator of the world. They completely denied the existence of God. That was such a heavy clip. But not only is there a world that conceals God, but we know that somewhere, we come from God, right? But even to say that not only is there no God, but I am the God, right? And he's denying all existence of a creator, of a real creator, and saying that he is the creator. So there was such a heavy klipa that said, we can do everything. We don't believe in a God. We don't need a God. We can do everything that you can do, right? I am the God. And that was the biggest klipa in Mitzrayim, denying God's existence to such an extent, to such a heavy veil. Right, Paro. So Paro claiming, it says that Tanin Agadol, the great serpent. Right, so we're going to get to the essence of the snake and the serpent, the snake and the snake. Okay, so let's go back. So Paro denied Hashem's existence completely. He said that he was God that created the Nile. And the 10 plagues in stages, and we're going to go through this next week more, breaks that down and prove to Paro and prove into the world that there is a God. And not just that there is the existence of a God. So the Barbanel actually breaks this down and says that the first 3 plagues prove that there is a God in the world that's controlling the world. The next 3 plagues prove that not just is there a God in the world, but they also said there's no such thing as miracles. It's just sorcery. We can do all of it. The next 3 plagues prove that Hashem is not only the God of the world, but that he is involved also in the that he can perform miracles, that the source of all your miracles comes from God, and that God runs the world as well. Not that just that Hashem is God who originally created the world, but that Hashem is involved in the world, and that he's continuously involved in the world, and the miracles that exist are actually from God, not from you. And the last 4 plagues showed not just that, but that how how Hashem is involved in every detail of the world as well. Not just that Hashem created the world and he's running it, but that every detail of the world, right? I think that was actually the second prefix, like the lights and the details, all of those were created by Hashem. And we're going to go through those in another time, hopefully. I think the last year was showing that there's miracles that are above nature that no one could even recreate, that no superpower can create. I have to go into the Varbanel, into the source and see. But the purpose of all of them was to prove God's existence, to break the klipa of Mitzrayim. Let me retract. Let's recap this. To recap everything that we've been saying until now, the purpose of the 10 plagues was not just to redeem the Jewish people from Mitzrayim. It could have been done in one plague. It could have just been, right, mass exodus without having the 10 plagues. The 10 plagues were intentional to break the klipa of Mitzrayim, the klipa being the husk and the shell, the coverings of the many layers of the klipa of Egypt. And each of the 10 plagues, successful in succession, one after the other, broke one layer of this klipa, of this shell, of this husk that covered the klipa of Egypt, that had them declare that there is no God. Not only is there, but even if there is a God, even if they prove that there is a God, there is no God involved in the world, in the details of the world. God is nothing to do with the world, the running of the world. And even if there is a God, he doesn't perform miracles that are above nature. We can explain all of it in nature, right? Even if you say there's a God that's involved in the world, there's no such thing as real miracles, right? I believe in God, but as each of the makos showed and broke that klipa to the point that it was broken, it was exposed. Paro was exposed for who he was. And all of this began, we'll see this, the blood exposed, right? Exposed everything. It wasn't just for Paro and Mitzrayim, it was for the world. For the world. And it says that even when it happened to Paro, the whole world saw. For example, when the split for the Jewish people to see, right, as well. So Paro claiming that he was the God, he was the source of life, he was the source of the Nile, the Tan and the Gadol that said that he created the source of all life. It was broken completely by showing, by the first plague, saying that you're the source of all life, which comes from the Nile, and you created the Nile, and that you're the God of the Nile, right? You would dip in the Nile, right, every day and show that he's the God of the Nile. We broke that by turning the water into blood. Hashem already attacked his God first, attacked the source of all God. It ended with the sheep, who was the other God of the Jewish, attacking their gods, attacking their false beliefs. So we attacked the Nile first, and we showed that their water, that they show that the water, the source of all life, is truly blood. And what Paro hid, and that and even exposed actually that this water that you show as this Egypt was like the America of those days. It was the most developed nation. It was the most progressive nation of the time. Even though we have all these crazy things happening like slavery and murder, those things happen in America also, right? Paro didn't condone those things. He was very political about it. That's what I've heard. An amazing change of opinion, right? We think of Paro saying, kill the babies. Paro was on the mic saying, I condemn anyone who kills babies. Do not kill babies, right? But in the back end, he was giving the orders, secretly giving the orders from him telling someone to tell someone to give the orders for it to happen. But in the media, he was saying, I condemn this. I condemn anti-Semitism, right? Yeah. He was condemning it in the political space. He was developed. He was progressive. Not only was he so progressive, I raised a Jewish baby in my house, right? He took Moshe in. And you can look at it, and this is my opinion, I mean, I haven't seen a source for it, as a political move. He's saying, I'm progressive, right? I'm so progressive. I don't believe in murder. We have water, we have nourishment, we sustain the whole world, right? We're the benefactors of the world. We're giving food and nourishment to the whole world, like we're the America of the world, right? We don't condone murder, right? Not only that, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm raising a Jewish baby in my house. I saved the baby from those bloodthirsty bad people. I have no control over what bad things happen in my nation. Those are just the murderers. I can't control them, right? They're just bad people. I can't control them. I'm even saving a Jewish child. I'm raising my palace. Look how progressive I am. I'm not anti-Semitic, right? That was how deep and entrenched his political and how much he hid this. And the first makkah, you can look at makkah's dam in this week's parsha. He's saying, turn the water into blood, expose this water, which is their God and what they serve and their money, right? Their wealth, all their wealth and sustenance, and show that what it truly is housing the death, it's housing blood. It's a place of blood. It's a place of murder. And when they exposed it, they were just exposing the blood that was there. So many dead bodies were in the Nile. All the bodies, all the murders that they committed were all thrown into the Nile. All the murders, all the blood. So it's exposing the depths. He's saying you're coming across, you're believing Paro, that he's progressive and that he's trying to help you and that he's giving you jobs, right? I'm giving you jobs. I'm not enslaving you. I'm just helping you. I was helping them. I can't control people as slaves. This is out of my hand. I'm doing my best to help the situation. It's exposing him for what he truly was. He's saying that this Nile, the source of your life, your trying to word, it was their national pride, right? What you believe is like your source of freedom. They would bathe on the beach of the Nile. People would come vacation there. He was saying, let me expose what the Nile truly is. It's a place. It's a place that's housing murders of innocent children and innocent people. It's a place of blood. So it was exposing what Egypt truly was, and it was also breaking the sleep as well. There are so many layers. In one makkah of turning water into blood, we're seeing that we're exposing Paro for who he truly was. We are exposing their God, attacking their God, which is the Nile, the source of all life, and saying life comes from Hashem. I can turn your water into blood in a moment. You're not the God of anything, right? You're just a bloodthirsty person who's a murderer, right? And it also, I'm just going to skip one more thing because this is a tangent. I wasn't going to talk about water and blood, but now that we're talking about it, it's the first step in leaving our personal exile. If we're exiled, if we're stuck, if we feel like we're going through a mitzrayim, if we're going through a difficult, painful situation in any kind of challenge in our life, the first step to leaving that challenge, the first method of leaving is turning our water into blood. Water is cool, it's calm, it's stable, right? Even though water moves a lot, water is considered calmness, it's cold. Blood, if blood is standing in one place, right? It congeals, it doesn't stay. Blood has to move all the time. Blood is passionate, blood is hot. Water, if it stays, it gets cold. Blood is hot, it's passionate, it moves. We have to turn our coldness and our apathy and water, and just like it's all chill, right? Just calmness, turn that calm water into blood, into passion. And the source we learn of all turning away, and even if we see this in the teenagers now, the reason, not the only reason, one of the reasons that teenagers leave this passionate, throw off the yoke of Torah and say, what doesn't matter to me, is this a certain apathy. It's like, there's no passion, right? If they come and it's just like, so we keep Torah, it just is, right? It's just calm, it's just part of my life. When there's no passion, right, that's the first step to going into galus, into going into exile. And the first way to get out of it is to stop being apathetic about things, to shake it up, to turn that water into fire, and to say that the first thing, even if it's passion for the wrong things, we say that we should never, if a teenager or any child or any human is passionate for negative things, right, for things that aren't so kosher, right? I'm passionate about being famous, being an actor, being something that, if our child is telling us I'm passionate about something, and we're like, I don't know if that's the best thing to be passionate about. Never kill a passion, because passion is a source of movement of life. Blood is alive, and water is the source of, right, is the opposite. So we have to rechannel that passion to something good, encourage that passion, and then find a way to make that for something positive, right? Find a way to bring positivity into that passion. The passion is the first thing that we need. We need to turn it into life. He says that the first coldness of the heart, and apathy and not caring and just being like ambivalent and apathetic to things is the beginning of all this end. And so if we want the next generation, right, to continue what we believe in, it has to be passionate. We have to express that passion. We have to say, I am so excited. I'm so fortunate to be a Jew. I'm so lucky to have Hashem in my life. I'm so lucky to be awake. Shabbos is so special. Let's enliven Shabbos. If we want our children to keep Shabbos and we're not passionate about Shabbos, it's the first step to just, it doesn't really matter if I keep Shabbos or not. But if Shabbos is such a special thing, if we think about how can we make Shabbos so special, what's special to you? And if we ask each child something that makes them feel special, and my husband's really good about this, and saying to my son, like, each child, making sure that there's something that they'll be excited for Shabbos about, even if it's egg salad or sushi, or like if it's Shabbos yogurt or a special dessert or something that they saw like they want, I'm going to buy this for Shabbos, that you're looking forward to Shabbos. So being passionate about Shabbos, and they see that we care so much about Shabbos, and we're investing in Shabbos because we're passionate and excited about it. And if we have that passion, that's the first step to breaking out of our exile, right? If we're stuck in an area of our life, we first have to have a reason and a motivation and be passionate and rile ourselves up and get motivated and get passionate about it. And when we can get that passion, that's when we can climb out of our hole, of our stuckness. But first we have to build up that passion. We have to be surrounded by inspiration, come to a share, right? Be inspired. Now you have the passion, now you can take that out. So the first thing is that, so we see so many layers to just one makkah, right? It's like, oh yeah, great, they have no water to drink, they're going to send them out. It's so much deeper than that, right? It's exposing the water, it's exposing the core of Egypt, it's exposing where Paro says he comes from. He says he comes from the water, right? And we're exposing that his source is from blood. So there's so much depth to it. Now, before the 10 makkos, in summary, the objective of all the makkos was to break the clip of Mitzrayim and reveal the truth that the core of all Egyptian existence was not false idols, was not the Nile and Paro and idols, but it was divinity. It's from Hashem. It's from the light of God, right? That's the source of their existence. And to break that, and each of the makkos did that. And before that, makkos, the first step to doing that started from turning sticks into snakes, and snakes eating sticks, right? And that really is the prerequisite, even before everything. It's not just it wasn't just a fun show, a cool magic show. It was way, way deeper than that. So if you have to go. If you can stay for part 2 of the shiur, part 2 is of sticks and snakes and the significance of that in our life. Okay.
Baal Tshuvas are the ones who have the most passion.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
They don't take it for granted.
And the passion comes back from being distant. When you're distant, you feel more of a passion, right? When you have that farness, right, then you feel the passion because you went further. No worries. I always say, this is a 40. You know what? I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to end it here, and then I'll do another one. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this class. If you enjoyed the class, share it, comment, and subscribe so we can grow this Torah learning, grow the circle of women learning together. And join me from now on one of the weekdays for our next for this class, which will also be posted here. Thank you again to Marilyn Adler and her family for sponsoring today's shur, Le'ilei Nishmat, her mother Shirley. And to sponsor class, you can message me or email me at chabadavafrat.com/donate or email me at chabadavafrat@gmail.com.
Shirley, Shifra, maybe I'll see Shirley.
Yeah, I'm going to message her.